What will happen in God of War 5 and 6?
Oh, you already know the answer to that.
And indeed, according to the signs and references that we have seen in the new God of War, we already can predict some things that most likely will happen in next God of War games. You're watching Cinematic Gaming, and this is probably the most intriguing theory about the new God of War trilogy. Well, I think all of us already know that the new God of War will be a trilogy. A lot of players have beaten the game already, and now it's time to speak about some theories of next two parts of the game. And here I'd like to speak about one most interesting theory, which I called Ragnarok Theory. I hope there is no need to explain what Ragnarok is if you are familiar with Norse mythology at least a little. Or if you finished the game already, you had definitely encountered with a lot of mentions of Ragnarok in the game. So, speaking modern language, Ragnarok is apocalypse, when all gods, all people and all creatures of all 9 worlds will fight each other in battles. Ragnarok isn't only the doom of man, but also the end of the gods and goddesses. It will be the final battle between the Aesir and giants. And there are really a lot of details and things which point at most probable direction of the next two God of War games plot. And without a shadow of a doubt, we can say there will be Ragnarok in the whole trilogy's ending. It's actually too obvious, and there are too many references to that, like this for example.
Look here, another.
This one's called Surt. Must be a fire giant.
Aye, the first and original.
He makes a flaming sword.
A weapon of legend.
He fights Thor and Odin. But is that the past or the future?
That may be a matter of perspective.
There will be some warning signs if Ragnarok is coming. The first sign is murder of the god Baldur, the son of Odin, which has already happened in the game. According to Norse mythology, Baldur is one of Odin's sons. He has numerous brothers, such as Thor and Vali. In fact, this in-game obsessed Baldur seems completely different from original Baldur from myths, which was fair, wise and gracious.
You are going to have to kill me for that to happen.
But apart from this description, Baldur is known primarily for the story of his death. His death is seen as the first in the chain of events, which will ultimately lead to the destruction of the gods at Ragnarok. And after all, Baldur will be reborn in the new world. So this is the main and most significant references to oncoming Ragnarok. And maybe Baldur's death wasn't the last time we saw him. Maybe Kratos and Atreus will meet him again in Helheim in God of War 5 or 6.
Must be better than this.
The second sign of Ragnarok will be 3 uninterrupted long cold winters that will last for 3 years with no summer in between. The name of these uninterrupted winters is Fimbulwinter. During these 3 long years, the world will be plagued by wars, and brothers will kill brothers. And it seems that we will see Fimbulwinter in God of War 5, and here are the references to that. After finishing the game, we can hear this from Brock, one of the blacksmith dwarfs.
I'm telling you, it's Fimbulwinter. I can feel it in my scrot. This is the big one.
Stop saying that. Oh, you're making me very nervous. It was bound to snow sooner or later.
That ain't just snow, and you know it. It's the end times.
How dare you make me the voice of reason?
Guys,
Just discussing the weather. Bit of a cold snap lately.
What he means is, Fimbulwinter's upon us, boys. The winter to end all winters. I can feel it in my scrot.
yeah, we heard.
And after that, at the very end of the game, we see an additional ending, where Kratos and Atreus meet Thor himself. But it comes out it was only an Atreus dream, about that which will happen at the end of Fimbulwinter. So it tells us the Great Winter will take place in God of War 5, or even will be over already by the moment of God of War 5 beginning.
Fimbulwinter was ending, and Thor came for us, here at the house.
It was only a dream.
But it felt different. It felt real. It felt like the future.
And the third Ragnarok sign will be the 2 wolves in the sky swallowing the sun and the moon, and even the stars will disappear and send the world into a great darkness.
Look here.
Oh, look! It's Skull and Hati, the giant wolves who chase the sun and moon. Where did they come from? How did they get up there? What's happening there at the end? They eat the sun and moon? And then everybody fights?
So this is the third sign which we don't see in God of War 4, but which we will see most likely in the next God of War as well. But there is another very interesting detail in God of War 4, which I'm sure a lot of people are curious about. I'm talking about the location in Helheim, where Kratos needs to kill the Breachkeeper so that to take his heart to save Atreus. And for sure at that moment many of you thought something like, what the hell is this? This giant bird seems really mysterious and even terrifying from the distance. This moment even reminded me of Dark Souls, because the atmosphere was similar in some way. But what is that bird indeed? There are no any hints about it in dialogues, but it also can be a sign of approaching Ragnarok. In Norse mythology, Reisvelger, which means corpse swallower, is a giant who takes the form of an eagle. According to the poetic Edda, he sits at the end of the world, or the northern edge of the heavens, and causes the wind to blow when he beats his wings in flight. This giant bird is that eagle most likely, but there is another version for it, which some players mentioned. There are some words in Norse myths about 3 roosters that will warn gods and giants about the beginning of Ragnarok. A beautiful red rooster Fjallar, which name means the all-knower, will warn all the giants that the beginning of Ragnarok has begun. At the same time in Hell will a red rooster warn all the dishonorable dead that the war has begun. And also in Asgard will a red rooster Gulinkambi warn all the gods. And it's possible that roosters have been replaced by giant eagles in the game. If it is so, we'll probably see the second giant eagle in God of War 5 and the third one in God of War 6. Actually, this is not the only moment when you can see that eagle. It follows the ship when Kratos and Atreus leave Helheim. It's a very impressive and mysterious moment, which many players missed for sure. So with all these details we can say with certainty that the new God of War trilogy will end by Ragnarok. And this means Kratos will probably fight Thor or Surt or Fenrir or maybe even Odin himself. But for now we can only imagine how epic and incredible this will be. I hope we all can stand the long period of waiting before the next God of War release. But everything tells us further 2 games will be even more wonderful and amazing than the first part of the trilogy. So it was my Ragnarok theory about God of War 5 and 6. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to press like and subscribe to the channel. Until the next video, and thanks for watching.